All right, welcome to BS3 Radio YouTube. And on today's YouTube show, we'll be recapping The Last Dance episode 5 and 6. We got a special guest here. We got my dad, Diagonal from me. We got Al High, and we got Courtney Harden. How's it going, guys?
Going well.
Good to be with you.
Good. Very good, man.
Good. So it's my dad's first time on the YouTube show. And, man, just tell us a little bit about The Last Dance, the few episodes, 1 through 6, and kind of just what you've been seeing and how interesting it's been.
Well, it's been, very reminiscent when you look at what went on back in, 90s, and also Jordan growing up in North Carolina and being a UNC Tar Heel fan and definitely a Michael Jordan fan. And so it was good to see him and a lot of the other players with their take on it. And I don't know if you are aware, but I played against James Worthy in high school. He went to Ashbrook in Gastonia.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that story.
North Carolina. So just to see him and his take on it and how MJ came in and basically took over the Carolina Blue and then went on from there. But it's been interesting. A lot of the backstories I had forgotten. So it was kind of good to reminisce on what went on and how he was motivated and how, when you look at the footage, there's no question about, who's the GOAT, because he was just so smooth. It was just like his ball, expertise and the ball handling skills was just above everybody else. So it was good to go back and reminisce and look at those days, and I was just talking to the wife earlier, how, you hear the take on back then, they were a lot rougher when it comes to the league. And they did play hard. I'm telling you, the Jordan rules, and it was interesting to look at where he came from.
Yeah, and I told him he can wear any of the old Bulls stuff. He got the Bulls Kango on, throwback. So that's nice. Courtney had on the jersey. That was on, I think, the first episode we did.
Yeah.
But episode 5 and 6, it kind of dived deep into Jordan the brand. Jordan became a brand, probably the biggest brand ever, I would say, and Nike, and he really didn't want to go to Nike at first. That was interesting. I didn't know that part. His mom was saying, you don't want to go to Nike. His dad was like, hey, this is a good deal. Imagine if he went somewhere else. I mean, that would be a very interesting conversation we'd be having now if he went to Reebok or he went to Adidas or something. But talk about Jordan the brand, Al, just how big that brand is. People will do anything for Jordans. Sometimes illegal, sometimes legal.
Yeah, I've had my share of fake Michael Jordan shoes. I'm like, yeah, I got some Jordans. I'm trying to play basketball in them. My feet are hurting and everything in them. But just with the brand itself, man, like the numbers, like they were expecting to sell like over 3 million pairs of 3 million in stock of Jordans by the end of the first year, and they sold like 126 million. Right. That blew my mind. And just the international brand of Michael Jordan all over the world. He himself is probably the person who really made basketball famous around the world. He took it to like a different level, especially with the Dream Team and how they had people all over the world like idolizing this guy. Like you have a big old poster in Barcelona, Spain, with you dunking the basketball. So Jordan, the brand itself, man, is right up there, iconic with Apple, with McDonald's. Those. Right. When you see the head and the legs out, looking like this, we know.
You already know what it is, yeah.
Right, and so it's like it's unbelievable how like it's now turned into a more of a fashion statement. If you look at even recently in Atlanta, when they had the lockdown was over or the stay-at-home order, everybody was out going to go buy a pair of Jordan 5s. lined up in the store, kind of like, you know, people line up to go get Madden. So Jordan brand itself, man, and the marketing and just how much it has made over the years, it's unbelievable. And kudos to his parents. Kudos to his mom and dad for really being in his corner and letting them know, hey, you need to go sit down and take this meeting. And just the business savviness of his mom and dad. Kudos to them.
That was vital. I mean, to have your parents there, especially during the time where you're young, you don't know anything about this arena, going to the NBA, money coming at you everywhere, women coming at you everywhere. I mean, I'm sure it was bigger than back then because you didn't have any Twitter, you didn't have any social media, so it's like anything could have happened. But Courtney, talk about the Jordan and the brand that they talked about episode 5 and 6.
Yeah, that what Al said. It was the business side of it. It was like you said, he was going to try to make $3 to $4 million. That was the prediction, but he making $126 million that first year, and they were like, okay, this is skyrocketing. This guy, because back then it was Converse, it was Puma, because Clyde Frazier with Puma, and then you had the Converse that had Magic Johnson, Bernard King, Larry Bird. So they were like, we're not going to give a rookie, his own sneaker of all things. And then he was like, well, okay, I just see the vision of this brand, of what he's going to be. So when he sells $126 million, that right there just set the precedent up for what it is now. I think they're on like 35 Jordans now. I believe 35 or 36 Jordans right now. So that's unheard of. I mean, this guy's still making a lot more money. He's making more money than some people are playing, and he's retired as an owner. So you know how big that brand is right now. And then on top of that, he was going to go to Adidas. And he wore Adidas in North Carolina, and he loved the Adidas brand. So, but then he says, with the meeting with Nike, and it just made it, like I said, made his brand just much bigger than what it is now. So, I mean, kudos to him and props to, like I said, to his mom and dad. His mom told him to get on that plane and take that meeting with Nike, and Jordan didn't want to do it. So I guess afterwards, I had read something after the meeting, he was ready to sign right there. He didn't say anything. He just let everybody else do the talking, and Jordan was so impressed. So I think definitely owe it to his mom and dad for what the brand is today.
Right, definitely. Go ahead, Dad, to talk about the Jordan, the brand.
Well, the other thing that they mentioned was normally you get like $100,000 for a signing with a particular brand, but they offered them $250,000. Which was unheard of, and I love the way he did the example of, Arthur Ashe. It's like, I think this guy's playing tennis, so you're going to give him a brand, similar to somebody famous as Arthur Ashe. But, just to piggyback on the actual worth, I had to Google it. I had to check it out and see what was going on today. But this guy, man, Forbes has this guy at $2.5 billion net worth, $2.5 billion net worth, and his wholesale revenue is like $3.1 billion.
Wow! And he's not even
playing. He made $143 million just last year. $143 million, and me and the wife was talking about, why is he so cheap? Why don't he play? The Warriors players, the Hornet players, why he don't want to play his players, as an owner, and he's got all this money, but I guess that's why he's rich, because he's tight,
tight on the pockets. But you just think
tight on the pockets.
You just think of right. You think of all the Jordans that have come out, and then they come out with the Jordans again. Then they do the same thing again,
3-4 times.
Throwbacks, right?
Yeah.
The Jordan 1s, 2s, they come out with those. I mean, the way they
all
do
colors
it
too
is genius, and the colors too. Funny Jordan story real quick. I had a friend that knew a friend that was able to bring Jordans somehow over the border from China or somewhere.
The bootlegs, right?
Bootleg. So I ended up buying like 2 pair. It was like $100 each. The soles ended up coming off. The bottom of it was talking and flapping. But one pair lasted for a while, so I'm not gonna hate on them too much. But you never know what people will do for Jordans. It's crazy. So
I hate to call you out, son, but you gotta tell a real interesting story about the Jordans.
What's that?
You want me to tell it, or you gonna tell it?
You going to tell it.
So we lived in a city called Richmond, right in between Richmond and El Cerrito, California, in the San Francisco Bay Area. And, that's right outside of Oakland. So my son was going to El Cerrito High at the time. And a guy, you was still going to
Still
Emory.
going to Emory, yeah.
You're still going to Emory, right. You're still going to Emory, which is right outside of Oakland, or Berkeley, right in between Oakland and Berkeley. And so he was taking a bus, to El Cerrito, Richmond. And a guy followed him home. One of his Jordans. And my son let the guy in our house and told the guy, you pick out any other shoes you want. You can't have my Air Jordan.
It was serious, man. It was serious.
And me and my wife like, are you serious? You brought this stranger in our house. He was getting ready to rob you of your Air Jordans. You brought him in the house, took him to your room and laid out all your other shoes. You can have any other shoe, but you can't have my Air Jordans.
Yeah. It was serious. It was serious. Those Jordans were serious. And that was the team Jordans. I mean, so you never know, when it comes to the other ones.
Right.
But so episode 5 and 6, we're recapping. One of the other things that I liked is how Jordan held grudges. Jordan was not, he's probably still holds grudges to this day. But the one with Clyde, that one had me laughing because he was like, you could compare me to Clyde Drexler. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're doing now. And then he goes off. I think he scored 40 or 35 or 40 or something. They end up beating him.
35 in the first half.
Yeah. 6 threes. Yep.
6 threes. Right. Excuse me.
Yeah, it end up beating them pretty bad, 122-89. But talk about that, Courtney, just how we got to see the side of Jordan where he was not one of those people that would be like, oh, I'm just going to let that go now. That was old news. You still don't like Isaiah. But talk about that, Courtney.
Yeah, anything that got Jordan going, it didn't matter. Like Drexler he didn't even do anything. He was just playing his position, playing on his team, led his team to championship. But we're comparing him to Jordan. Jordan was like, oh, really? Okay, I'm going to show you what I can do. And you're no comparison. And Drexler that year, I think he averaged 25, 6 and 6. Jordan averaged 36 and 5 or something close to that. So the numbers were very comparable, except for the scoring a little bit higher for Jordan. But in like I said, in the finals, Jordan just took that a little bit. He told Magic Johnson the night before, they said they were playing cards, and he said, oh, you guys are comparing Drexler to me? Okay, I'm going to show you who the best player is. Jordan goes out there, hits those 6 threes. He does that shrug. And the thing is, you see the highlights, Jordan wasn't a great shooter at that point, but they knew, okay, he hit his first 2 or 3. Maybe put a man on him and put your hand up and guard him. They're leaving him wide open. And so he just keeps hitting threes. It's like, okay, that's it. All right, so I'm going to score 30, 35, like I said, in the first half, dominate, and they win their second championship at that time. So, yeah, Jordan was that competitiveness. I know we're going to probably get into the gambling in a little bit. So, that competitiveness, it was on the court and off the court. So, I mean, that's what makes him the GOAT. His drive, his determination, and he just he'll slice your throat, just to beat you in anything. So, I loved it.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead, Al. Talk about that grudge that Jordan had and would not let go.
Man, he wanted to be the best and stay the best until it was time for him to leave.
Yep.
That's what and he would find anything, any little small thing from Clyde Drexler to Isaiah Thomas to Jerry Krause talking about the stuff with Kukoc. And he's going and he was like, okay, especially in the Olympics. He's out like Tony Kukoc. But I'm about to show it my owner. I'm about to show it my GM talking about he's the next best thing. I'm about to show up and show out. And so I don't even think Kobe may have had that type of edge like like Michael when it came to certain little small grudges. I mean, any and everything. He wanted to be the best at his craft, the best at his game. He didn't want to miss nothing. He didn't want to miss out on nothing, have no regrets about anything. This brother was just flat out about the game of basketball and about winning. If you were not about winning with him, he didn't want you on his team. He didn't want you.
He was gonna punch you in the face.
He was gonna punch you in the face. He didn't want to. And then if somebody said one little thing, he said, "Oh yeah, well let me show you how it's done right here. We're gonna do this right here. We're gonna do that. And matter of fact, you're not gonna even score any points. And I'm gonna leave you in the dust. And you're gonna know what time it is after we get done playing."
Right. All right, go ahead, Dad.
Yeah, it was a pretty good rivalry. It was good to reminisce on how they were going back and forth, but just the competitive edge. I mean, the drive this guy had, and when you go back to the first couple of episodes, and it talks about him and his brother, and how his brother used to beat him playing hoops, and how he wasn't able to make the varsity, as a sophomore, and so that goes all the way back, and how his dad belittled him. So all that stuff, just gave him the actual motivation to just be the best. And he wanted to continue to be the best, regardless of who was in front of him.
Right.
And for them to even, compare him to Clyde Drexler was an insult to him, Right. And he was like, really? You comparing this guy to me? Well, let me show you, what I can do. And that's the thing about Jordan, is that not only did he, he talked trash, but he backed it up.
Yeah, every time.
I never seen anybody that was so consistent when it comes to his play on the court. I don't remember him having a bad game. I'll be honest with you. He may have a bad quarter or something like that, but other than that, just the determination just to beat you down, man, it was unheard of, and that's where that's between, him and LeBron. That's the distance between the two. His drive and his motivation just to step on your throat, man, and just annihilate you. This guy was, man, I'm telling you, he was awesome. I'm telling you, he was awesome. So that game, he had to prove it. And I like the little part about, Magic said, well, we were playing cards over Michael's house last night. And he told me, he said, watch what I do with this guy. I mean, this guy, man, I like to play cards, but I'm telling you, this guy, man, he loved to play all type of cards. They was gambling too. I know.
Yeah. It was money involved. Oh, not a couple of dollars either. Yeah.
Right.
A couple thousand.
Right.
And so let's talk about the gambling. Let's go ahead and get into that. So he banned the media. He didn't want to talk to him anymore because the thing came up, the Sam Smith Jordan rules, the book of the random guy that was like me and Jordan and our gambling issues. And Jordan's comment was, I don't have a gambling problem. I have a competitive problem. I kind of agree, and I want to get you guys' take. I agree because what he said is, if I had a gambling problem, I would have been pawning off things. I would have been gambling every single night, which he was gambling every single night. He was gambling with the security guards and all that, but he still kept his fortune. For a lot of people, it ends up them losing everything. If you talk about the guy that used to play for the Celtics, Walker. I think Walker, can't remember his first, Dwayne Walker. He had a gambling problem, and he was bankrupt. So I think the difference between all these people and Jordan is that Jordan had constant money coming through. So it wasn't like Jordan could be broke, because he was selling Jordans like left and right, and that money was going probably directly in his pocket. So I'll start with you, Al. Talk about, what was your take on gambling for Jordan? You think that was a problem? You think he was just ultra competitive?
Man, look, when he said I had a competitive issue, I had never heard of that before. To me, I'm like, okay, I've got a gambling addiction, but being too man, he wanted to be a winner. He wanted to win in life. He wanted to win everything, even the smallest things. I thought the interesting part was when he did the interview with Ahmad Rashad and in his sunglasses and talking about I thought that was hilarious. I'm like, has this man been crying? What's going on with him?
Eyes are probably red.
Probably ain't been sleeping because he was
sleeping.
but he just wanted to win. I think he was having a good time. And to him, $10,000 may be like $20 or $30 to us because he had multiple streams of income coming in. So he can do that kind of stuff. And even like flights with flying with all of his teammates. You know, they'd be in the back of the plane, you know, playing for thousands of dollars. But then in the front of the plane, you know, they playing hands for $1 or $2. So he went to the front of the plane and said, like, well, why are you playing with us? He said, I want to have your money in my pocket. And that's just the type of, and the lesson that we can even understand with being competitive is that you want to compete, but you want to win. It's not just about competing, but it's about having that drive and that edge to win. So that's the lesson that I took from it. Then on top of that, the brother had multiple streams of income coming in, so he really wasn't worried. If he lost 10 gigs, it was nothing to him. It was like, hey, I'll get that back tomorrow or something, you know. I got these new Jordans coming out on tomorrow, so I'll make $100 million.
Easy. And he had a restaurant. He had a restaurant in Chicago. I think he had, I don't know what else he had at that point. He probably had other businesses, I'm sure. But I mean, Jordan was a smart businessman too. We forget that being able to build this brand does not just happen overnight. It's got to happen with what you do on the court. It's also got to happen with the relationships that you have, because all of that comes into building a massive brand like Jordan did. But Courtney, talk about it on the gambling.
Yeah, I'm with Al. When he said that he doesn't have a gambling problem, I have a competitive problem. You know, I was like, oh, okay. I think it's both. I think it goes hand in hand. Like, you are gambling, you are a gambleaholic, and you're competitive. So it just goes hand in hand with, for me, I think with his gambling, it's interesting because we heard the stories about him messing around with a lot of bad people, and it brought it up. The guy had a book. He had those, you know, sneaks. He said, I had to learn from that. I did learn from that, but I don't believe that he actually gambled on basketball. There was no evidence or anything like that. So it was just more of, he gambled golf. He loved to go to Atlantic City. Because, I mean, when he was playing the Knicks in the playoffs, he was like, I just wanted to get away. I mean, there was no problem with Dennis Rodman going to Vegas.
Right,
you know,
exactly.
I know that was years later, but there was no problem with that. So Phil knew, like, okay, George just wanted to get away. Him and his dad and a couple family members went to Atlantic City. He said, I lost some money. He said, that's how it is, you know. So, but then he comes back and dominates the Knicks. They were down 2-0, and he dominates the Knicks, and they win 4-2 in that series. So I don't think it was that big of an issue at that time. So, I mean, like you said, his net worth, he was still getting money and everything. And then on top of that, you had the security guard in Chicago that was gambling with him. He was trying to beat him.
Right.
Like, he was trying to beat him in the quarters game. They throwing quarters and on the, you know, on the floor into the wall. So, I mean, like you said, the blackjack, and they were playing cards on the plane. They're playing for $1,000 high stakes. And then he goes against Will Perdue and B.J. Armstrong and those guys, John Paxson. He said, Paxson's like, what are you doing here? I'm going to try to take your money. He said. So, so he did have a gambling problem. He probably still does to this day, but his net worth says billions of dollars. So he's a competitive gambler. How about that? That's what I call competitive gambler.
Good point. And when you're trying to beat Lonnie in security at the United Center, you got a problem.
For $20. Yeah.
Like, Lonnie is like, well, I guess I would. I guess I'll be good. I'll be enjoying that something in life. But Dad, talk about that, the gambling and with Jordan.
Well, that's evidence of a competitive problem when you beating a guy that's probably making $20,000 a year,
right?
You know, and you taking $20 from him, you know, and then you're upset when he wins. He rolled the coin up there to the wall. Right. I mean, like, come on, man, you know, you're $1 million man. You know, clowning this little security guard. But the other thing, you know, when you look at the reason that Michael was okay with Rodman going to Vegas, you can see why now. Yeah. Because he had basically did the same thing. Right. You know, he didn't go to Vegas, he went to Atlantic City. So now you look at the backdrop behind the Rodman story, you said, oh, okay, I kind of get it now. But but the golf thing, you know, with this guy, where he said, oh, this guy $1 million, you know, that's a gambling problem. You may be competitive, but if you're going to play golf to the point to where you're going to owe this guy $1 million, and And, maybe he didn't know the guy's history, I guess the guy has some shady stuff going on in his past or whatever the deal may be. But, when you're in the gambling, you're going to end up with shady people. That's just that, that's the type of business it is. When you're dealing with that type of, kind of money, you're going to draw shady people because they feel, you're a billionaire, a millionaire, whatever at that time. They're going to try to get theirs, from you. And I'm pretty sure the word went around. Because that's the thing about gambling. The word went around. You can get in with Michael Jordan. You can make some good bucks. Because he don't want to quit until he wins. And you can get him real deep. So, but I like the way it handled it. I mean, I thought he, like you said, he got money coming from different streams, and so he was able to handle it to the point to where he didn't, go bankrupt or anything like that. But we kind of heard that side of it back then. We knew that he had some gambling issues,
Yeah. All right, so we got about 10 minutes left, man. This time going by extremely fast. But let's touch on one other thing. A lot of people in the Black community, we're all Black, we're all African American, and we know how people. When you don't do something necessarily the way a lot of people think it should be done, you get criticized. So we talk about the Harvey Gantt, talk about how his mom was like, hey, can you do an infomercial? Can you do something? I want Dad, I want you to talk on this first because I know you were living during that time and you probably remember a lot of that. But talk about how that put a spin on Jordan. And a lot of times he wasn't vocal a lot. I know now as he's getting older, and I respect what he said. I was working on my craft. I was working on being the best basketball player on the planet. My goal was not to get political. But, Dad, go ahead and touch on that.
Well, that was a very touchy situation back then, because we knew Jesse Ham was a racist. We knew his agenda. He was a bigot. And we knew that he had an agenda to more or less oppress the African American community. So of course, we wanted, Jordan to stand up, and we wanted him to be a voice, for the voiceless, because he had power. Not only did he have influence, but he had power. So we were disappointed. But when you look at the flip side, regardless, people should have still came out and voted. And if you have that issue to where you need a superstar or you need a celebrity to motivate you to vote when you already know the opponent's history and you already know his agenda, so why should you have somebody that's influential to get you out to vote? So it kind of goes both ways, but we understand, his position as well. And they kind of brought it up, far as, LeBron's agenda when you look at China, because of the business aspect of it.
Right.
And I know he's a businessman, and his mother said he did, donate to his campaign. But you would want him, we felt that he should have said more or did more at that time. But it wasn't like, we held it against him because we understood where he was coming from. We understood that, each individual had a responsibility as well, not just him.
Right. You can't put all the pressure on him.
Right.
So let's go around the horn. What are you looking for in the next episode? Also, we got a special announcement. The winner of April for the year of giveaways. We'll do that last with about a minute left. But Al, what are you looking forward to in the next episode?
I'm looking forward more to getting down to the crunch time, seeing how the Bulls prepared for the playoffs and really understanding the ending of what was taking place in the dynasty of the Chicago Bulls. So I'm definitely interested in that aspect to see what happened during part of their playoff run.
All right, Dad.
Well, to get back on the gambling part, I'm interested if they're going to touch on, his father's, murder. Yeah. Because rumors, I hope they addressed it, because rumors was that he was in, some gambling issues and he had a gambling debt and he was trying to rob, his father, try to shake his father down and something went wrong and he ended up, getting killed. So I'm hoping, and praying that it has nothing to do with his gambling issue, but I'm interested to see if they're going to address that room at all.
Okay. All right. Then Courtney.
Yeah, I agree. I think I want to see if they're gonna go to that because there's been, like you said, a lot of conspiracies about how his father died and why Jordan retired the first time. So I know they're gonna. They looks like they're gonna touch on that first retirement because even in the episode 6, they touched on a little bit of him, Jordan, and all the there was so much going on around that, the gambling and the media putting Jordan, they was trying to find something wrong with Jordan at that time. So I think now they're going to go to the retirement, the baseball. Another thing I'm going to look forward to is the Scottie Pippen side of that too, because when Jordan retired the first time, Scottie Pippen led the Bulls to the second round of the playoffs, and he was playing MVP basketball. So I kind of want to see that aspect of when Pippen stepped up and really led that team, and they lost to the Knicks in the second round. So I kind of want to see those two aspects of the next episodes.
Yeah, and baseball that's the biggest thing I'm looking forward to because I think we all know that he went to play baseball. This is not like new information. I want to see what the background story on was it, and I want to hear Jordan talk about it because one thing I could say about this is Jordan has been completely honest throughout this entire thing, and ESPN has been letting it flow. They've been letting all type of words be said. He was honest about Isaiah Thomas. He was honest about the thing with Harvey Gantt. He's being honest, which I love. So I really want to hear what he has to say. Also, you haven't seen his family yet. I mean, you've seen his mom. You haven't seen his ex-wife. I don't know if they're going to go into that at all. You haven't heard about his kids. So those are some other aspects. But I'm loving it so far. I think this is the greatest documentary. If you're a sports fan, if you're a Jordan fan or not, you got to think that. And with that being said, The Last Dance has now surpassed Tiger King as the most in-demand documentary. And Tiger King is a bunch of a bunch of funny people in Oklahoma, and with tigers and all of that. So, but there's a lot to look forward to. Let's get to the winner of this month. Let me go to my, I got a list of names. I'll be doing a drawing right now. We'll announce the winner. It's very easy to enter in. All you have to do is subscribe on Apple Podcasts, leave us a review, YouTube, leave us a review, or join the email list. All that information will be below. But the winner of today, let me go to my list, or I can't get to my list. Okay, the winner of today is the Time Skew Podcast. Congratulations to the Time Skew Podcast. They signed up and they did an Apple review for us. So they'll be getting a gift card. They can take them, their significant other, to Taco Bell or something like that. Get a number 2. You can share it. Get some of those Taco Bell fries if you want. But I'll be reaching out to them. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to click that bell. Make sure to leave a comment. We'd love to hear what you have to say. You guys have a great rest of your day, night, evening, wherever you're watching this. Thank you to Al. Thank you to my dad. Thank you to Courtney. And you guys have a good evening.
All right. God bless you. Thank you.
Later, guys. God bless.
All right. Take care now.